Welcome back to EQ Video Tip. I'm your host, Eric Forsetter. Today we've got a great episode. Before we get into it, I want to remind everyone of the goals of the EQ Video Tip. We're taking a snippet of the daily, weekly emails and providing it to you in a video format. And with that format, we hope to 10x some part of your EQ. So let's jump into the goals and get to today's tip. What's on tap for today? We're going to talk about how to say no without hurting your image. And these tips are brought to us by Adam Grant, an organizational psychologist from the University of Pennsylvania Wharton School of Business. Adam's going to provide us with 8 different tips, we'll get to a few of them, on how to say no without losing trust. And we all know earning trust is a very important leadership principle out there. So there's an old adage out there that says, if you want to get something done, ask a busy person. And that saying rings true, but it also spells doom for that busy person. I know this myself because I want to be responsive and generous and over-expanding all the mountains of requests that are out there. But there's a limited amount of time in the day, both professionally and personally out there. So how do you get around the feeling of, I have to always say yes when I really need to say no? Let's jump into some of those tips that are out there and ensure we can have a crash course into saying no, but still keeping that trust with other people. Tip number 1, and this tip comes from Megan Keane of NPR Radio. Before you say yes, pause. Seems pretty simple, but there's great power in pause. Often, a people pleaser will go out and just say yes, just to get rid of any tension or anxiety. But pausing not only buys you a little time to help you assess what's really behind the request, but to understand, was this a demand or a suggestion? This quiets any anxious thoughts that might lead you right back into that people-pleasing type situation. So before you do anything, pause. Number 2, make an introduction. You can always say, this isn't in my wheelhouse, but I know someone who might be helpful. And while you're not in the position to help, you may know someone or some people who can. What it ends up doing is creating a huge time saver for yourself and also for the person requesting that help. Now, despite the appeal of these types of introductions, there's one major downside. They can be a major imposition on the person who you're actually referring to do the help. So as long as you check with those people and make sure that they don't mind and they have the time to do that, that makes sure that they are in a comfortable position to make an introduction. This way, you're not actually punishing the most generous givers by overloading them with hundreds of requests. And you're less likely to damage your relationship with both the person requesting it and the person who's helping out. Tip number 3, the deferral. Try saying something like, I'm swamped right now, but feel free to catch up with me in, you could use 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months, whatever it might be. What this is doing is candidly talking to the person requesting your help and saying to them, try to figure it out on your own, and providing a filter for them about who really needs your help in the long run. It prioritizes your time, but also theirs. And if someone's really persistent and really needs your help, they can come back. You got to be careful on this, though, because it could result in rewarding stalkers or takers, people who are so aggressive and single-mindedly will keep working until they get your time. On the other hand, it does offer them an opportunity to either figure it out on their own or search for another person who can help them find the solution that they're looking for. So don't be afraid to ask for a deferral. Our final tip, doing it as a batch or as a group. What does it mean? Well, let's say you're getting multiple requests for the same type of information. Try saying something like, Others have posed the same question, so let's chat together. As an example, Adam Grant was talking to a colleague of his who's a military veteran, and he was stunned to learn that this same veteran was getting up to 100 calls a month for the same path that veterans were trying to figure out on how to get a job. It seemed very inefficient for this veteran to take every single call. So instead, he invited everyone to a group meeting or a group chat once a month or once a week. What this did is that it created a community around common interest. And in doing so, it created a low-level commitment for the first encounter for you, or in this case, the veteran, to figure out how the subsequent interaction should occur. So if you're seeing that you're getting a lot of similar requests, try setting up a lunch hour or an office hour or a 30-minute session for brainstorming with people of the same question. Those were the tips that Adam Grant recommended for this week's EQ video tip. Here are a few more that we didn't get to, just in case you'd like to see them. So that concludes our EQ video tip for today. Try incorporating some of these tips into your daily routine. But remember, use what works best for you and personalize it for yourself. Thank you always to our great research team for providing us with some great tips today. As always on EQ Video Tip, we want to end with gratitude. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Here are some resources that you can use if you want more information on EQ going forward. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you.